It's time for Gun and Saddle, a United Country M. Edwards Realty and Land weekly broadcast where we talk about anything and everything related to our God-fearing country lifestyles and the blood, sweat, and tears that it takes to make them possible. Join Monty Edwards and Pierce Lancaster as they take a deeper look at the land we all love and the people that call it home. This is Gun and Saddle.
Hey guys, we're back again for episode number 6 of Gun and Saddle. You might notice today I'm in here by myself, but we're actually going to join Pierce from Bowie. Pierce, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, man. Listen, I'm glad that you could join us in there. Every week we're trying some new things. This week we're going to be going live, multiple interviews. Not multiple interviews, but having you remote. And then also here in a little bit, we're going to be bringing Ryan Wascom in to join us. But tell us what's going on down in Bowie this week. Did you do any duck hunting?
Well, no. And I got good reason for it. It's been hot and it's been calm. It seems like we're about to be celebrating 4th of July here instead of Christmas. It's been so hot. I looked at my weather app earlier, and Christmas Eve here is going to be a high 85, and Christmas Day is going to be a high 83.
Oh, wow.
And that's just not really ideal for it. So a lot of times, this has happened before. A lot of times we want to get that the deer hunters have to quit, the beginning of January, but duck hunters get to go on until the end of January, beginning of February. So we always hope for that big cold January sometimes when the December and November parts of it aren't too good, so we'll just sit here and wait and hope for the best.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, I heard you also mention, you said y'all are getting no wind, so we'll send you some wind. We'll send some wind.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, we've actually finally had a little bit of cooler weather here the last few days, and it's gotten warmer. Still pretty warm during the day, but we're finally getting down below freezing several nights the last few nights of the week, this past week. And noticed that just going up and down the road, looking out in some of the fields where we've got some wheat and all the deer are out in the middle of the day right now. So we ought to be cranking into, what I would think would be full rut for the mule deer right now. And, when Ryan and them were out, which we'll talk about this in a little bit, they were here. It was early for mule deer rut because our mule deer season's prior to rut. But, a couple of things we want to kind of talk about before we get Ryan on. We are really excited about our programming schedule for next year. We've already got several good interviews lined up. Ryan's partner in crime, Slade Priest, is going to be with us after the first of the year on one of our episodes. And we're also still working on getting that interview set up with Texas Parks and Wildlife. I think that one could be a really interesting one. So if you have any suggestions for things you'd like to see us do on Gun and Saddle, we'd like to encourage our listeners to send something in. We have a special email that you can send to. It's comments@gunandsaddle.com. At the conclusion of this show, if you watch our outro when it ends, we also post that email again. We also have it posted in our description on most of our posts on Facebook, YouTube. And, hey, another important thing I was going to let you guys know, if any of you guys are LinkedIn subscribers or you're on LinkedIn, we are now approved to go LinkedIn Live, which that's kind of a beta version that they're doing out there. So we're really excited about that. This is our first broadcast to be broadcasting on LinkedIn Live. So if you're joining out there with us live, I want you to remember, too, that you can make comments while we're live streaming from any of those portals, and they'll come through to us. So if you've got anything you want us to pop up on the screen or anything like that, feel free to do that. So, Pierce, do you got anything else for everybody before we get into this interview with Ryan?
No, I think I'm good. I'm ready to talk to him.
Yes, I'm looking forward to talking to him.
Looked like he shot himself a good buck last week.
I saw that.
Saw on Facebook, yeah.
I did. I saw that too. We'll talk to him about that when we get him on. So without further ado, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with Ryan Wascom, Realtree Land Pro from Southern States Realty in Mississippi.
For all the reasons we at Realtree United Country Hunting Properties can list to buy your own hunting and recreational property, these have to be at the top.
Contact your local Realtree Land Pro and turn your passion into possibilities.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this video. If you're watching it on YouTube, please be sure to like and share the video, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's one of the best ways that you can stay up to date on new listings and new activities that are going on with M. Edwards Realty and Land.
And if you're watching this video on Facebook, be sure to like.
Hey guys, we're back. A little technical glitch there. What Pierce was saying, be sure to like and share our deal on Facebook too. We wouldn't be having an episode here if we didn't have a little bit of a glitch here, would we? Okay, so hey, we're happy to be here again. A few weeks ago, we had the privilege of getting to spend some time with some really cool guys. They came up from Mississippi. We took them and showed them some of our one of our coolest recreational hunting attributes we have in this part of the country, and that's our mule deer hunting. Ryan Wascom was able to join us. We're going to introduce Ryan and welcome him onto Gun and Saddle. Ryan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I sure appreciate y'all having me on.
Hey, we're glad to have you, man. Hey, did you get any good Mexican food when you got back to Mississippi after eating some of our good Tex-Mex here?
Yeah, I did. That's the first thing my kids wanted to do. They love it. We go out and eat, and all they eat is chips and salsa.
You're gonna have to bring them next time, and we'll give them a little different version of it up here, huh? So.
Absolutely.
Well,
y'all ate at that joint in Littlefield about 3 or 4 times, didn't you?
Hey, now we might have ate there a couple
it's
of
good
times.
though. I mean, when something's good, you keep going back.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Pierce was mentioning this before we brought you on. Sounded like you had some success last week out in the field when you got that buck. We saw a post on Facebook. Tell us a little bit about that hunt.
Yeah, I did. It's actually it's on a piece of property that I purchased about 1.5 years ago. It's 80 acres, and it's just in a prime spot. A lot of people call me crazy for buying it and stuff, but I knew the potential on the place, and it was just I put in some really nice food plots on it, made it just basically a deer sanctuary, and I had this property leased for about 2 years before that, so I knew what I was getting into. And the deer I killed, I had plenty of history with him and stuff. And I've been after him. I seen him last year. I passed him last year. I was hunting a really big 8-point last year, and I seen this deer and I passed him. And I seen him the year before that as a 3-year-old, I believe, and then as a 4 last year. And then this year, I believe he was 5 and stuff. But anyway, it was just a great hunt. But it was actually really foggy that morning. I mean, the thickest fog that I've hunted in, or I can remember hunting in a long time. It was about 8:30 when I shot the deer, and I could barely see probably 75 to 80 yards, and had some does and stuff out in front of me, and they left, and I decided to do some grunting, and in the middle of my grunting sequence, I looked up at 70 yards, and he's coming straight to me, and anyway, made a good shot on him, had my dad with me come help me recover him and stuff, so it was a good hunt.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's kind of rewarding too when you've seen those deer multiple years and then you're able to harvest them, down the road. That's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, it is. And I tell you, it's kind of got the monkey off my back for up there because the last 7 years, honestly, that area, I hunted a 7x6 up there, is what we called him and stuff, just a big deer. I hunted him for 2 years in a row. Actually seen the deer and made a bobble on him. I was fooling with the camera and stuff, and the deer got away from me. And so it was like ever since then I've had a monkey on my back, and it's just been terrible. And then so the neighbor ended up killing him the next year, and then I moved on and I got on another big deer. And when I got on him, I hunted that joker for 3 years. Never seen him. It's the most daylight pictures I've ever had of any deer ever. And it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. And I can tell you, it's just I'm glad that I finally got one up there in that little area. So it's a really good area. It's just right here across the state line. I actually live in Louisiana, about 10 miles south of the state line, and just right across over in the Mississippi area, Gillsburg, Amite County, and that's where I bought it, and some really good hunting there.
So not to get off in the weeds there, but just I know for the folks that don't know, you're also a Realtree Land Pro real estate agent. So are you licensed in both states, or do you just work in Louisiana?
No, I'm licensed in both states.
Okay.
This close, you have to be.
Yeah, that's what I thought. We're kind of in the same boat. We're close to the New Mexico border, and that's something that we're pursuing is getting licensed in New Mexico. But no, that's and Ryan, you talk about that. I don't think people realize the amount of time sometimes guys log in the field when they're hunting. But another point that you brought up, I'd like to touch on a little bit more. It was something that Slade mentioned when he was here, is that you guys not only are out there and you're doing everything right to get on the deer and you're hunting them with diligence, but you also are filming all your hunts. That's not something most of us in the field do. And Slade just made the comment that he hadn't shot a deer over the last decade or so that it wasn't being recorded. So have you had a few times where that's cost you? I know you mentioned that once, but is that something that happens occasionally when you're doing it yourself?
It does. It does. I mean, you can make some mistakes. Like I was talking about earlier, that deer, he come right out and he was right on the edge of my food plot and stuff. And I manked at him to stop him. And I looked at the camera, I looked back at the deer, and the deer I thought he made like 2 steps. So I looked back at the camera again just to make sure I was on him. And the deer actually bolted when I did that. So, yes, you can mess up if your goal is to get it on film and then make the shot. It will mess up. You will mess up eventually. So, but you can take and go multiple times and stuff like that'll never happen. You'll never even see the deer, but at some point it's gonna foul you up.
Oh yeah. Well, I've had enough foul ups without trying to carry a camera around with me. So, I can imagine though after you do it for a while, it's like when I first started bow hunting. When I went back to rifle hunting after I'd been bow hunting, I was a lot quieter and a lot better rifle hunter after I'd been bow hunting for a while. So I would imagine after you've been filming for a while, you're a better bow hunter in general, just because you have to be quiet and work on moving slow and all of that. Is that right?
Yeah, you learn what you can get away with.
Yeah.
When you first start hunting, you're taught that you can't move. You got to be still, and that's a lot of the case. But I mean, I've had deer under me moving camera and stuff by myself. And a lot of times, most of the time, we had anytime we would go on a trip, we would have somebody filming us. But here around the house, I mean, it might be one of those things. I may not be able to go today, but maybe the next 2 days I can go, or 2 afternoons, and we generally didn't have a cameraman here sitting here paying him to do nothing, basically waiting on us to decide. And then here, the temp, I mean, it just so much stuff changes here. uh some days you got good hunting. I mean, we liable to go 2 days it's on fire, and then it might be 2 weeks before you see any more deer, up moving around. Especially like right now. I mean, we've had 3 days of cold weather here. Besides that, it's been in the mid 70s, and we're gonna get back. They're calling for 80 degrees on Christmas Day here. So, you can't have somebody sitting around not filming. So that's why we got into filming ourselves. And hey, if you're out there hunting, bring your camera and enjoy it. And, try to make it happen.
That's a point too. As y'all were here, we were talking about the fact, and I listened to one of Slade's podcasts with David Blanton, but they were just talking about the technology and how it's unbelievable. The little camera you can carry in your pocket now can do more than those big cameras you guys used to carry in the field to film with. And
Yeah, you can, like when I start, I tell everybody, I always get asked how we got into hunting or into filming. And so my dad, he did it back in the early 90s. I mean, got pictures of them, back in the day, and they had these huge cameras, and he still got it. Takes the super VHS tapes and stuff like that. And you had to have it's about like a piece of I-beam or something to keep it stable, for a tripod. And but amazing. Like the phone, the cameras on your phone now are better than those cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just amazing how technology has changed and what you can actually use to film versus what you used to have to film with.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was really amazed talking to you guys. I mean, that hunting circle that you've been a part of for a big part of your life, it's really a fairly small circle of people that have been doing out filming and being on TV shows and on. I know that's changed some, but it's really cool listening to y'all talk about how Realtree's got out in front of this and created their own online portal. I think we've seen some things the last couple of years where it may get to be a hard deal to put hunting shows just out on general portals and public portals. But tell me a little bit about Realtree 365. I mean, do you see that as being a good thing that Realtree's got their own portal?
Yeah, absolutely. That way, and the good thing is you can go to it on Realtree 365. It's at your fingertips. Anytime you want to watch hunting, you can go to it right then. The biggest thing that you're running into now that you see and that we're hearing about are some of these platforms. They're starting to ban more and more hunting on these
Mm-hmm.
platforms. So, it's a great thing that Realtree has the 365 app. You know, shouldn't be any banning of hunting going on there on the Realtree 365 app. I can tell
Yeah.
you that.
Yeah.
So it's just, that way you don't have anything to worry about. I mean, when you
Mm-hmm.
go to posting on other platforms and stuff like that, you always get people on there bashing it and stuff. Hunting is it's a whole different world. You think just because you're around hunting all the time that that's normal, but like people look at us like, you know, you shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
And it's good that Realtree's got the app and stuff. That way we can share everything on there.
Pierce was actually the one that first kind of brought that up when I was talking with him about it. And, it's something that 2 years ago, if we started talking about that to most people, they would have thought, there's not a point in doing that. Now, after
Right.
we've been through some of the things we've seen the last couple of years, I think people really do understand that, yeah, there is going to be some censoring and some things that could happen, so I think it's pretty forward thinking that they've done that. I want to get in and talk about your hunt while you're here, but one other quick thing while we're here, because I know you've been involved with Realtree. Now you're working for United Country. Tell me just a little bit about how you see that partnership. Do you see that giving you an advantage now that you're in the real estate business? I know you've got bias towards Realtree because you've been part of that for a long time, but the Realtree partnership with United Country, I mean, if you were going to sum that up in a couple of sentences, tell me what you think about that.
It's just a great thing. I mean, when people when they see the logo and stuff, when they see the Realtree, they know hunting. And so when you're branded with them, you label yourself as somebody that knows the woods, knows the outdoors, knows what people are looking for that are looking for hunting properties. So it's just a great thing, and I'm just proud to be a part of it.
Well, I tell you, one of the things that was rewarding to me, and Pierce, jump in here anytime that you want on this, but I told my wife after you guys left that weekend, it was a treat to go out and get to help you guys and be involved with y'all hunting. But the biggest thing was just getting to meet you guys and see how just good to the core y'all were and how ethical I can tell that you guys are. I mean, you take your job and your profession very seriously. It's neat to see that you guys, who are the role models for a lot of youth hunters and people out there in the industry, have got good people to follow. And I'm not trying to embarrass you because I know you're a humble guy, but talking with you guys offline, just talking about how y'all view ethics and things in the field, man, I got to tell you, that was really refreshing.
Yeah. You go through stages of life. As you get older, you mature. A lot of things you don't think about until you have kids. And
Yeah.
that's changed my perspective on a lot of things. But at the end of the day, you want to do the right thing. You want to, if you can teach someone to do the right thing, that's one step forward, instead of two steps back. And that's just the way I look at it. I was raised to do the right thing when it come to hunting, and so I try to pass that on and show everybody, hey, just because you don't shoot that deer or whatever, whatever it may be, just be ethical about it, and at the end of the day, everything will pay off for you.
I agree. We had
I think that kind of ties in back with what you were talking about, the whole Realtree 365 app, and how, when you get into on social media and stuff, all the issues that hunters face, all the backlash that they face. And I think the number one problem that that like spurs that on is people don't know really what they're talking about. And I'm not trying to say that in a bad way. I'm just trying to say that they're not educated. They don't know. And so I think, getting young people out in the woods, teaching them how to hunt and all that stuff, I think that's a great way to teach people that, hey, we're doing this ethically. There's nothing wrong with this, and this is a great way to live life. And so I think that education is a big factor in that. So that's a good deal y'all are doing.
Well, and to jump in on that, the last Gun and Saddle episode we did, we had a guy, we labeled that one the fishing, hunting preacher, but we had Roddy Chester. I don't know if you got to listen to that, Ryan, but he spent a lot of time talking about how he was teaching his kids, where he thought he could teach his kids the most is when he got them out there away from all the distractions and got them out there in the, and he said it didn't have to be just hunting or just out in agriculture, but it was mainly the fact that you take that time to spend with them. And you and I talked a lot about family, Slade the same way. I mean, I know how important your families are to you. And so that was really cool. So I've got to open this up now. I want to go in and ask you, what did you think about the West Texas mule deer hunt?
Oh man, I loved it. I come home, I was talking about it. I told my wife, I said, "Yeah, you can go ahead, kind of bank on it. We're gonna go back next year." She said, "Oh, you liked it, huh?" I said, "Yeah, it was fun." It's the first time I've been mule deer hunting. Now I've been around mule deer when I've been out in New Mexico and stuff, elk hunting, but it's the first time to really go mule deer hunting, and then to do it Texas style. That was absolutely awesome. I can tell you that.
Were you kind of overwhelmed by the number of deer that you were able to see out here in the open?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I couldn't get over. I mean, we seen 40 something deer, 40 something mule deer, one hunt. That's just really surprised that I didn't have a monster walk out on me, honestly, up close, like that. But it's just the way hunting is. When you see that many deer, you keep on thinking, man, here he comes. He's coming. He's coming.
Yeah.
And, but hey, it didn't work out. But Slade got one. He got a really good deer and stuff. And that's just the way it goes.
Well, and it bears to mention, too, for those of us that hunt here and understand it, I mean, the number of people that take a mule deer with a bow, it's a low number. I don't know what the number is, but there's not a lot of guys that hunt them with bows. And you guys, to your credit, were out here bow hunting these mule deer. So you probably had a shot early in the week or the first part of the hunt if you'd had your rifle there those first few days. Did you have a shot at a deer and you had a couple of deer that you kind of passed on, didn't you? Because you were waiting for that big one, weren't you?
Yeah. I didn't know. There were some smaller deer that I considered them smaller, and after seeing kind of what Craig had on camera and stuff like that. So, I mean, I was just holding out for a big one, but yes, I seen multiple deer that probably anybody would have been happy with.
One of the things that we're hopeful about is we're hopeful that they push this survey out through the Texas Parks and Wildlife, and there's talk, and there was talk in the letter that they sent us that up here in this area, they're talking about extending that season for one more week and another weekend, which would be tacked on, I believe, if it follows suit with the way I think they did, it'd probably be tacked on to the back end of the season, which would get us a little closer to rut with the mule deer because they rut later. I think the other part that they're talking about that's interesting is a possibility. I'm hearing, just rumors, and these are all just rumors, but that there could be a possibility of a doe tag. So I think all those things could make this even more exciting up here, lengthening our hunting season, opening up the opportunity to hunt in a little bit, different slot and all that. Is that something that you think after being up here would make a difference?
Oh yeah, well, it just give you, a better opportunity, because if you don't get good weather, early season like that, you're hunting them over, the wheat fields and stuff like that. And if you don't get good weather, the deer just, I mean, the bigger bucks are not going to get up and move. They're not going to move in daylight, or they may be right there at daylight and dark. And in our case, it's hard to get good video on something like that. So you really need good weather. And if you get 5 days or 6 days, whatever, of terrible weather, then that leaves you only with 2 or 3 days to get it done.
Right.
Then that way, if they extend the season, you get more of an opportunity, to potentially fill your tag.
Sure. Well, and one of the things too, when we're looking at that, we do typically get some bad weather right around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We'll usually have some
Right.
wind, and we really kind of dodged that this year. It wasn't too bad, honestly, that week. But I agree with you. I think that'd be good for having alternative days to hunt. So while you were out here, we were able to talk a little bit about, Realtree and the changing industry. We touched on that just a little bit earlier, but if you were just going to guess, I mean, where do you see the recreational hunting industry going over the next 5 years? Up, down?
Oh man, that's yeah, definitely going up. There's no doubt about it. You got more and more people that are interested in going hunting and stuff like that, and not really hunting, but getting outside, doing things, with their family and stuff. And then a lot of people, they want to have something, especially after COVID, being locked down in the city and stuff like that. They want to be a part of it. They want to be out and outdoors, whether it's 10 acres, 20 acres, to some people that doesn't seem like much, but somebody that lives on a quarter acre lot, or less than that, or in an apartment, that's a lot to them if they can get out on 5 or 10 acres. So it's just I really believe it's going to go up, and I look forward to it. To trying to help people do everything.
Well, and Pierce, I know where you're at. What are you seeing in the Bowie area? I mean, are there people trying to grab them a little piece of heaven out there so they can have?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Being closer to DFW, we're about an hour out of DFW. That's a lot. There's a lot of people, looking to find a country property that's not too far from the city, And I think that's a big selling point in this part of Texas is we're still a small town that hasn't been swallowed up by that urban sprawl that DFW has, but we're still pretty close to all the amenities. So it's kind of a best of both worlds situation from that aspect, and people wanting to buy country homes and recreational properties, but at the same time it drives the price up pretty high. But other than that, I guess that's good for a real estate agent, but
Yeah, for sure. Well, Ryan, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off, Pierce. Sorry.
No, you're good.
No, I was just going to also mention too. I mean, one of the things when we were driving around that one day, that Slade and Ryan and all of us were talking about was the fact that you can come up here. I think people overlook our area a little bit when it comes to recreational hunting, and some of that is because of these short seasons that we have for some of these hunts. But like right now, ever since those guys have been here, and from now until into the first part of the year, we've got a ton of crane here now. The crane have finally got here. We've got crane hunting. We've also got geese. That, and of course, cold weather had helped crank that up a little bit more, and we've been warm too. But we've also got good upland bird hunting. I've seen tons of quail up in this part of the world, and we're really becoming one of the few places that really has great quail numbers from what I'm hearing across the country. And our numbers, I think, are getting stronger. I think this last year really helped us on our quail populations. Not to mention, we still have good pheasant hunting in places. And so when you take the combination of crane, geese, quail, and then not to mention over in our eastern part of where we have an office in that Turkey Rolling Plains area, I mean, we've got great turkey hunting. So, just looking at that, I mean, I'd like to get Ryan's standpoint on it, but Ryan, are there many places like that where you've got that much diversity in what you can hunt? Oh, did we?
No, I mean, there's different areas and stuff that you can do different things, but the opportunity to mule deer hunt, I mean, that's a big thing. And generally when you think mule deer hunting, you think Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, way out. You don't picture you can do it right here in Texas. And so then you have the like I say, the sandhill crane, the upland bird. We've seen several pheasant while we were there, while we were there hunting. And anyway, it's a great place that you can do stuff. Plus, you've got, depending on what you buy, um, in the area, you may have potential income in from farming or whatever other case you may have out there. So, I mean, it's just great, it's a great area, and uh, just an awesome place.
Well, and I think when Slade nailed that deer, he started putting some posts out on social media, and a lot of folks were taken back by just the overall body size of these deer because they are healthy because they're eating a lot of good groceries. So with the production ag we have here, another real important point is that
Hey, you there?
yeah, can you hear us? We're having a little bit of a lag there. Ryan, I'm not sure. I had a couple more things we'd like to kind of bring up with you, and if it comes back where we're getting you clear in a second, we might get you back in here. The other point, and if you get a chance, we'll let Ryan speak to this, but that was the other and final point that I was hoping we could cover today in our interview is while those guys were out here, we were talking about the fact that, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit, I think, right now for someone if they were interested in trying to find a place out here to maybe get a place to hunt. Land values here have gone up just like everywhere else, but maybe not as much as in some places. So when you take the fact that you could have a different season to hunt 2 or 3 different times a year, you'd really have a chance to come out, have a place to hunt. I think it opens the door not just for possible buying a piece of land, but also folks that are interested, like you mentioned, existing landowners that want to open up another leg of revenue where they can be incentivized to make some good improvements for the wildlife, but yet help fund those because they do have folks willing to come out and pay to hunt. So, Ryan, are you back with us?
I'm here. If you can hear me.
Sorry.
Right.
Do you think for what you saw out here? I mean, I know I talked to you, so I kind of know the answer to this question before I asked, but you wouldn't have any trouble coming back out here and paying for a mule deer hunt, would you?
Oh no, I mean it's absolutely unbelievable hunting. The you mentioned a while ago body size on the mule deer. That one that I was after, that joker, he was big as the front end of a truck. I'm telling you, he was huge. But yeah, man, I no problem paying for a hunt. Out that way. I mean, it's really good mule deer hunting, and it's fun. It's Texas style hunting. That's what I like about it.
Well, we enjoyed you guys coming out, and I did want to get that point across because to get to hear a person that comes from another place, and also the fact that you got a background of hunting your entire life to drive that point home, because I do think sometimes we look at it as, well, I'm not real sure that is a viable leg of revenue, and I think there's a lot of ways that Pierce, he comes to us, he's got his education through Texas Tech in the conservation part of the ag college, and has a specialization in wildlife biology, and that's something he's really interested in is working with landowners to help improve their land for waterfowl, upland birds, and for wildlife. And that's a point I'd like to make before we get through today. I mean, if you've want to come in, talk to us, even if you're not interested in selling, we'd like to still visit with you guys, because what goes on in this area is good for all of us if we can promote the hunting and the fishing and the things here that'll help make this place better. And so, Pierce, you got any other questions for Ryan? I mean, I could sit and talk to Ryan all day. I know we can't stay on here all day.
Oh, yeah.
Like to do so.
Do y'all have any? I heard you earlier talking about weather. It's going to be here in the 80s here too. Is there any chance of a cold snap coming y'all's way anytime soon, or is it going to be hot?
No, well, it's actually the last 3 days have been cold.
Yeah.
And but we're going to start warming back up tomorrow, and then I looked at the 10-day forecast, and it dips down into the mid 60s for the high, and then for the low, the upper 40s, which is cold enough for our deer and stuff to get them up moving and stuff. But that time of the year, you typically would like to be a little bit colder, to get you more excited and stuff.
Yeah.
But hey, when I shot that deer the other morning, I mean, it was 70 degrees. So like I tell
Yeah.
everybody, you just got to be out there this time of the year.
That's
True.
right.
Yeah, that's a fact. Well, Ryan, we can't tell you how much we enjoy you taking the time. I know you're busy. I know you're going in a lot of different directions, especially out here before Christmas. But we'd sure like to get you back on here again, maybe in the spring sometime. And one of these days, I want to get you out to around our turkey office out here for a turkey hunt. What do you think about that?
That sounds like a plan to me. Look, I'm all about turkey hunting. I can tell you that.
I knew from where
we'll
you
leave Slade. We'll leave Slade. We'll leave Slade back at the office.
Let him do the work and you come play. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, listen, thanks for joining us, and we're going to take a break, and then we'll be back for just a minute. And thank you again, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you. Thank y'all. Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
You too, Merry
Hey,
Christmas.
you too.
All right.
The time has come to sell, but who can you trust to help? This isn't just dirt. It's the place your children took their first deer.
Honey, that's a giant.
The value of the timber is the old wooden stand you just can't bring yourself to tear down. The roads may be gravel, but they access countless memories. This is more than lines on a map. It's your small piece of heaven.
Heck yeah.
This is your property, and that's why we want to be your agent. Realtree United Country. Turn your passion into possibilities.
Well, Pierce, are you going to have some turkey and dressing during Christmas, or what is y'all's traditional Christmas meal you got?
Oh, hey, we're in Texas. We eat beef, man. My mom cooks up a beef tenderloin. That is one of my favorite things about Christmas is that, man. That's good stuff. But yeah, we save that turkey for Thanksgiving, man. We get sick of it after a while.
Yeah, we're going the beef route too at Christmas. We changed over to that a few years ago, but I'll tell you what, there's going to be some folks probably need to take out a second mortgage on their house to buy those beef tenderloins this year.
Heck yeah, they're high.
One of the things that we've done, I mean, we've focused a lot here in the first few episodes of Gun and Saddle, especially the last couple on hunting. I don't want people to forget another one of our focuses is the ranching and Western culture that we have here in this part of the world. And we're going to be adding some things after the first of the year that I think will be real interesting. Hopefully we're going to have some market outlook stuff that we're going to do at the start of our shows starting in the spring. Yeah. Really looking forward to that. Again, we want this video podcast to be just what our people that listen to it are looking for. So if you've got some suggestions, comments, hey, we've got thick skin. You're not going to hurt our feelings. We know we've got some things we're trying to improve on already, but we want your comments. So, at the end of this, there'll be an outtake. It's going to put up this email address, but you can get us at comments@gunandsaddle.com. If you'll send that email to that email address, we'll know when it comes in. It's specifically for that purpose. But also, I'd encourage you, if you've got any questions on anything that we can help you with on a real estate perspective, to give me or Pierce or any other folks at medwardsrealty.com a call. You can also call us on our phone number. Our phone number is 806-686-6371. That'll get our office number, and that can go out to any of our agents. So once you get on there, you can use the virtual assistant, even on the weekends. And then if you call during the week, we've got a live breathing person that usually answers the phone. So, but Pierce, do you have anything you want to say to everybody before we cut loose for Christmas?
Well, I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And hopefully when we get back here, we have some, or at least I can have some good hunting stories to tell somebody because it's been pretty dang slow.
Yeah,
hopefully that turns around.
Well, I feel like a lot of folks are going to take a little time spent with the family. And of course, I'm sure a few people will get to do some hunting, do some things recreationally. There'll probably be some guys team roping and doing some fun things. And they're probably not griping about the cold weather, actually. So
No, my brother's a calf roper, and he we kind of butt heads about it because he's loving it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this is terrible.
Well, I was thinking about, Ryan talking about shooting that deer at 70 degrees. Really, as long as you plan for it, I don't guess that'd be that bad of condition. So,
well, it's like that fishing saying, you ain't gonna catch any fish, you don't have a line in the water. So
That's right. There's a lot of truth to that. So, look, we know all you guys out there that are listening love to hunt and fish and mess with livestock and horses as much as we do. If you've got anything we can help you with from a real estate need, be sure and give us a call. But most importantly, we just want to really remember that this time of year is a time of year where we're honoring the fullness of time when God decided to send his son to come to the earth and complete the work that he needed to do so that we'd have our, have something to be thankful for this time of year as we honor the birth of our Savior and Lord Jesus Christ. So, guys, thank you again for joining us. We'll see you after the first of the year on our next episode of Gun and Saddle.
see you guys.
Thanks for watching Gun and Saddle, a United Country M. Edwards Realty and Land weekly broadcast. Have an idea for a future episode, comments, or suggestions? Email us at comments@gunandsaddle.com. Remember to subscribe or follow us today. Join us again next week for a deeper look at the land we all love and the people that call it home. This is Gun and Saddle.
For all the reasons we at Realtree United Country Hunting Properties can list to buy your own hunting and recreational property, these have to be at the top. Contact your local Realtree Land Pro and turn your passion into possibilities.